Fade from
Hello,
black
everybody.
into okay. There we go.
Oh,
really
Cal, how
wants
are we
to
doing,
scream.
everybody?
Morning.
Good.
Morning,
Morning.
breathing again.
Good morning. Good morning. Good. You're breathing again? What? Why would you stop breathing?
You know, you get that nice hype going with the song and everything, and then it turns to black, and I'm like, just kind of freeze.
Yeah. Deep
So
breath. Here it comes. You know, good old Restream. There's a new feature I'm not using, and apparently they really dislike that I'm not using it. Yeah.
Oh,
Because one of the features of a good platform is to punish people who don't use your features. That's smart. That's some big alpha brain stuff there. So
capital
that's
A.
that sales mentality, man.
yeah. That's how you make sure they use those features, right?
So new feature coming next week.
Oh, wait a minute. Where'd it go? I'm giving Sean Connery vibes. I don't even know what that means.
It's a good thing, Chris.
Oh,
Anytime
okay.
you're compared to Sean Connery, it's a good thing.
The last time I saw someone compared to Sean Connery is because he was saying like positive things about slapping around women. I'm like, I don't want to be associated with that.
Whoa.
Did you not see that interview?
Mm-mm.
Oh my
No.
gosh. It was something else. I think after that interview, they're like, no more interviews. You just just go out there and look pretty. Don't let people know what you're thinking.
Yes.
Well, hey,
Yeah.
at least like take that over the SNL version of Connery, okay? Like it could get worse.
Yeah.
Oh, that one's ridiculous.
Yeah, that is fantastic.
Trebek.
I think he died.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. You want to bring out some slapping? Let's start talking about calculated columns. Like,
Johnny.
I don't discriminate on who I slap with that. It's like it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Calculated columns. We're out there swinging, right?
Don't clip this part of the stream. Don't say Chris on that without context.
Yeah. Oh, good to see everybody. So we got a lot coming up over the next couple of weeks. The big thing is Kratos Con is in like 18 days. So if you guys are attending, drop a like down into the channel if you're going to be there. I'm excited to see everyone. I know Jared, Christina are going to be there. You're even doing pre-cons at Kratos Con, so that's quite exciting. Kevin, are you going to be able to attend or no?
Yeah, I'm attending.
You're
I'll be there.
attending? Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, I had to give money somehow, so
Yeah.
hopefully it went into your pocket.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to sign up for Kratos Con, it's very simple. Just we run all of our tickets through a major provider out there. It's kind of like what's the place for concerts?
Live Nation.
Live Nation, right?
Oh no.
Or Ticketmaster to attend Kratos Con. You go to the live Ticketmaster, Live Nation /Ticketmaster version. It's called FabCon. Just go there or SequelCon and buy your tickets from there, and you'll get free access, to Kratos BI-Con.
So Chris, tell them what they get if they come visit you at Kratos Con.
Oh, you come. Number one, you get a handshake or fist bump. Number two, we've got lots of swag that we're going to be giving away. Number three, if you're interested, we're even going to be doing live interviews and reactions to people from the conference. So for those of you who are coming, stop by and say hi, do a little quick interview. If you're not going though, and you're like, oh, I'm missing out on all this great stuff, tune into this channel. We're going to be going live. I mean, I think last year we went live 16 times or something like that. We're going to be doing the same thing again this year. So you'll be able to see like everyone who's there. So I'm sure Kevin, Jared, Christina, you'll swing by at some point in time. We'll do a quick live feed and feedback about all the like biggest announcements, all the big things that are coming out. I'm pretty exciting. I might just have a bag or two of Nero gum with me, and I might be willing to share. Although, again, Nero gum for caffeine, vitamins, and L-theanine gives you that boost to get up and going and take on Kratos Con. These are not a sponsor, so use Kratos BI checkout for 0% off. So.
I didn't know they bought 2 slots this time.
Yeah. Yeah. They're moving up. They've got the pre 10-minute slot and the half-hour slot. So excited to see that, right? And yes, if you are interested, Kratos Con t-shirts are available through the end of this weekend. Is about the last I would say you have any chance of getting it before the event. Links will come to low or will be posted in the chat available. So.
Yeah,
Exciting
I gotta
stuff.
Go buy mine.
What's that?
I gotta go buy mine.
Yeah, what the heck?
I know.
Christina, where are you? You're presenting like a lot, right?
Yeah, so I actually I'll put this in our little chat. I just shared it in the bigger chat, but I made an actual little link to my Sessionize, so you can see where I'm going to be presenting in the upcoming months, and it will just update for me. So,
okay.
But yes, I'm going to be in Nashville next weekend, and for Data Tune, and then I'll be in Chicago, and then I'll be in Atlanta. So I'm pretty
Holy
pumped.
cow! It's like the world tour.
Yes, I'm so excited. Yes, come find me. I will have tons of stickers, and I just want to meet everybody. So come say hi. Let's chat. Let's grab coffee, a whiskey, whatever. We'll figure it out.
Well, fantastic. If she's
Nice.
bringing whiskey, and if you have any means, are you driving to Atlanta or are you flying?
So I already got you what you guys are getting.
Oh, okay. Excellent.
So it's just a matter of, Jared, do you like whiskey?
in the right company, yes. Right company.
I'll have some to share as well. So hang out with us. We're gonna have a good time. And in general, we're gonna have a great time.
Martha is here.
Oh
It's
my
the
god!
gal in the
Wow.
cube has joined us.
Nice.
Oh my gosh! I can't wait.
Yeah,
Good luck,
it's
Martha.
exciting. And we just for those of you who may or may not know, we are actually live on TikTok now. So we do live streaming to TikTok as well as shorts on TikTok. Martha, gal in the cube, is on TikTok. She's now got, is it 3 or 4 shorts out, Martha? I think I just watched either your 3rd or 4th one. It's very exciting to be like one of the first people to watch anything Guy in the Cube and to be like the only commenter and the only person to like art it. Like I feel like it's like 2017 again. So
I was gonna say you're always right there in the beginning, right? So.
Yeah. Oh, good deal. So
Martha
Jared, where
was
are you headed?
Oh yeah, go
What's that?
for it. Yeah, I was just gonna say
sorry.
Martha was actually one of my first conference friends internationally for at Sequel Bits. So we had a great time. It was awesome. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Jared, where are you going to be?
So I'm starting out in Chicago at Data Saturday Chicago, week before FabCon. So if anybody's going to be at Chicago, I know Christina will be there too. Hang out with us; it'll be a good time. Taking a little bit of a breather there too, because I'm then going to FabCon and skipping my kids' spring break that week. So trying to balance family time and conference stuff, but hang out at FabCon a couple days, and then we'll head out to do pre-con. Anybody in the data analyst space that's looking for an intro to SQL, maybe if you're going to be at FabCon, consider, do you want to go to see FabCon stuff, or I'll be doing a pre-con that Friday to get you started on SQL. Anything that you want to know about analyst stuff with the SQL language, I'm going to be teaching that at a full day pre-con, just about a half an hour north of where FabCon's going to be. And then staying for the extra day on Atlanta, we're going to talk about PySpark there too, and that'll at least be it for now. We'll see what shakes up then after that.
Well, fantastic. And quick, Kevin, what's your schedule like?
So I'll be at FabCon, but I'm not presenting. I will be helping Christina and Chris out on that Monday.
Yes.
So I'm looking forward to that. And then I have a presentation that I'm doing at Atlanta. What do we call it now? Data Days. So that what was SQL Saturdays, the same thing that Jared's doing the pre-con for. I'll be doing a presentation on that Saturday. So if you come to Atlanta, stick around for the Data Days and join that. That's free, right? So you're already there. You might as well go.
Right.
And then I got 2 sessions. I'm headed over to SQL Bits after that. And so I'll be doing 2 sessions there.
Love
And then
that's
traveling
fantastic.
around Europe for a little bit. So I'll be gone for a while.
All right.
my
Well, let's
norm.
get into it. We've done enough of this footsing around. People get really angry when we don't get to it. So, what are we talking about today? We are talking about fabric at scale. Okay. So, let's rewind the clock to 2016, 10 years ago. Okay. 10 years ago, we were talking about a little Power BI implementation. It was something that your finance team like went out and bought a couple pro licenses of, and they started to tinker with it, and all of a sudden, before you knew it, like IT was suddenly saddled with this Power BI thing, and they're like, where did this come from? What is happening? Right. But that's okay. It started to like really blow up and grew up. So like IT went out and like they got a Power BI capacity, and in fact, they even bought a big one for their enterprise models and their enterprise consumption. And then they start to like roll out smaller domain capacities, right? Well, as as this matured and as the platform started to expand, we suddenly went from just Power BI, which is all BI and business related, to like, hey, now let's do these fabric capacities, right? So they just suddenly became fabric capacities where you could start to do data engineering, and like not just OLAP, not just analytics processing, but actually like transactional processing with Fabric SQL and Cosmos DB and all of these other capacities started to like come into Fabric, right? I just got a couple slides, then we're going to start to talk about this. The challenge that's looming right before us is we've got dozens, if not hundreds, of existing either cloud or on-prem servers that are going to be mapping into this fabric land space. So we're not going to be talking about just a handful of fabric capacities that serve our BI teams or analytics needs, but we're going to be evolving from this on-prem server farm or cloud-based server farm with thousands of capacities into these universes of fabric capacities that we're going to be working and having to manage. Now, I think the big challenge that we have here, and I want to talk about today, is how are we going to start to structure and organize all of these capacities as these things start to come to light and as we start to work with them. I've got a number of like kind of like bullet points here. We're just going to be kind of like running through. Oh, and I closed that window. Oh my God.
We're doing it live.
We are doing it live, right? Like, holy cow. Okay, here we go. All right. So as we start to like work in Fabric and as we start to do this stuff, I think the first thing that we want to talk about is what is the architectural patterns that first come to mind when it comes to like, okay, we've got a handful of Fabric capacities. As we start to grow these capacities and like you look at your own network and say, how many servers do you have? I'm going to guess lots of you have at least 10, maybe it's 40 to 100, maybe it's thousands, right? So what are these architectural distinctions? First comes to mind when you're talking about going from a handful of capacities to tens, hundreds, or thousands of capacities.
I guess for me, right, starting off, we're making this assumption of you're getting up to the multiple capacities. And I think what I see from what I read and stuff like that, sometimes people are mistakenly comparing a capacity to a server,
Mm.
right? Which could lead them to put too many into it,
Mm-hmm.
right? But then also you could end up doing the opposite of kind of like when servers or VMs first started coming out. Some people tried to put everything on just one and then ran
Yeah.
into problems, right?
Mm-hmm.
So kind of coming up with your architectural strategy, your thought process on, when to add them, it is a very interesting question. Um, I don't know if it's a dev test prod type of thing, and maybe not always. Some places I put like test and prod on just one, but dev on the other.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to really look at the workload and what items are you thinking of putting out there that could end up consuming your capacities, right? Come up with the pattern that's going to work that you guys are supporting. Are you doing all lake houses? Are you doing all warehouses? There's so many different options. I think that's where even talking, I'm confusing myself.
Yeah, I was going to
It-
say, let's take the extraction up a layer from
Yeah.
even specific workloads to generic types of workloads, right?
Mhm.
Because we're talking about like, oh, baby's waking up.
Yeah.
See you later, Martha. I guess my initial is let's look at the personas and the people that are working with the data, right? So my initial take for entry level breakouts are going to be your ingestion, your analytics, and your data science, right? Because I think it makes a lot of sense, especially practically speaking. If you're looking at your analytics level and users who are consuming content, it has to be on an F64, right? If you want to make sure that nothing can happen to interrupt them, to me, that means I'm going to separate out my data engineering content, and maybe I'm going
Yes.
to have like an F32 for my lower layers, or maybe even I'm going to break up my transformation. So I've got like an F16 for my bronze ingestion and an F32 for my silver and gold transformations, right? Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
I still
Yeah.
think that there's an assumption in here that the company is so big to begin with, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So
We have
yeah,
to assume that we're talking huge scale here, I think.
right. Mhm.
Well, again, how many companies have one server?
Many, lots. I've known
Well,
companies
okay.
that have that could get around just working on Excel and not
Yeah.
have any servers, right? So
All right. Okay. Fair
On the
enough.
small scale, yeah.
Yeah. I guess I'm
So,
not
yeah.
talking about a company that has one box in
No,
it. And,
I mean,
know.
yeah, even on SMBs, you're talking more the M's, and some of those M's may not have many, but there is an implied scale here already that you got an implied company size already. So
I think to Chris's point, what helps really with that scale is like, do you look at it as just like I'm solving a technical problem? In which case, I think making that transition, you might look at it as, okay, here's my server strategy. Now here's my capacity strategy. But I
Mhm.
think it is important to not lose sight of, all right, what is the user experience that I'm hoping to support with this? Especially for
Mhm.
Fabric, so many of the experiences are focused on a good user experience. I think it's a really good opportunity that if you're debating that, regardless of the scale that you're at, that's at least where the conversation should start. Where it ultimately ends up could head in a lot of different directions. But if you keep it role based and the designated experiences you want to have makes it easier to transition from the mom and pop shop all the way up to the largest companies in the world.
Yeah. And I think that's where I was trying to head, because what I was thinking of is a company I was at that was growing, right, and releasing, in different countries, so they're becoming international and everything. But the people didn't have the right experience in their servers, and they kept trying to cram as much as possible onto the same servers,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so they had a bad server strategy, to Jared's point, to begin with,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so don't take your bad server strategy and just put it,
And
just
try
say,
to cram everything into
yeah,
one
everything
bucket,
into
right?
one capacity, right? If you're that big, right?
Right.
That you have multiple servers, you have multiple things that you were doing differently. I totally agree with your point there, but don't you may not also just move it over one for one, right? Because
Well,
the
I
concept of a
wouldn't recommend
capacity,
moving it one for one, and I
right?
think that's where we want to have this
Mhm.
conversation go, right? Like I think
Yeah.
Jake brought up a good point here is on
Yes.
Mhm.
ownership, right? Like,
And accountability, right?
Yep.
When that capacity goes
Mhm.
down, who should have been looking at it?
yep. So is that finance? Is that HR? Is that your ops team, or is that the manufacturing wing? Who is the responsible party associated with it? And to me, that's the people who are honestly, it's the people who contribute code to it, right? So if you're publishing, code and you're putting things that are running on that, you're the
Mhm.
one who becomes responsible for how that capacity runs and operates, right? And I think that should tail into the domain strategy that you're following inside your company, right?
Mhm.
I think a lot of this goes into like concepts that are very akin to like the oh my gosh, I literally just forgot the name of the data architecture with domains is not
Mesh?
graph. What's that?
Mesh? Are you thinking of
Mesh.
mesh?
Yeah, data mesh concepts about ownership and contracts and who
Mhm.
owns what, right?
The thing is, I have trust issues with the people building the code actually monitoring anything. I
Mhm.
also think that at a tenant level, somebody should be checking these things out because you need to be seeing the problem. Somebody needs to be responsible. It's a huge, huge piece of your company, right? And a huge
Mhm.
investment that you might be putting into it. Somebody needs to be responsible. Somebody needs to have a single pane of glass that is showing them when capacities are getting close to failure.
Well, and I think that even goes into our next pillar that I kind of outlined, which is performance capacity strategy, right? You
Yeah.
need that oversight to say, okay, Kevin, Christina, Chris, you guys are all playing well together and everything's fine. Jared, I don't know what it is you're doing to our capacity.
I don't know what you're talking about.
But Jared, you're going to need to get your own capacity, or we're going to like isolate you off into this other capacity because what is happening here can be something that is, that is a bit of a struggle, right?
Yes. And I
It's
think that, yeah, go for it, Jared.
no, you go it. No,
Mm-mm.
go for it. No, I'm gonna head in a different direct or a slightly
Oh,
different.
okay. Yeah, I guess my thought process here is that you need to be able to see where the problem is, and I think right now things are getting better in Fabric to see where
Mhm.
the problem is. But it's kind of like the problem of too much logging or not enough. The Goldilocks zone
Mhm.
is not only knowing when it's failing, but why and how to fix it. And so I think that's where like some of these custom solutions like FUAM have really taken off.
Mhm.
I highly encourage everybody to build their own solution. Maybe start with FUAM and identify the problems that your org runs into a lot, because you need to know who the Jareds are, and you need to know not only that, but do I need to have some training with them to help them see the problem, right? So
Yeah, and some even with that solution, and I thought we said that name differently, but I can't say it that way.
Fuam?
Yeah,
Fuam.
I say Fuam
Oh,
like she did. So
I say
Oh,
FUAM all the time.
yeah,
oh,
there's,
Fuam.
I think there's still a lot
It's
of
the lightsaber. It's
yeah.
got to be the lightsaber. Fuam. Fuam is really fun to say. Fuam, it sounds like you have just spent several hours meeting with accountants and you're tired of the jargon, and you're like, the FWAM has got to be moved up by 24% in the next quarter, or else we're going to miss our EBITDA projections as
But
we get into
FWAM
our
reminds me
company.
how to spell it.
Exactly. But anyway, I mean, even with that, right? There's still sometimes a lack of instant notification, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And if you try to go with Microsoft's solution of putting on the real time monitoring to maybe get closer to that, then all of a sudden you're putting a capacity on to monitor your capacity. So,
Yeah, which is an insane proposition, right?
Yeah.
Especially for a platform as a service, right? Like, no, thank you. That should not be a thing. But yes, and I think all of this kind of like goes into it. In fact, even Adrian had a good question about
Mhm.
like, how do you handle the architecture for development in Fabric, that costs associated, given it that it takes many iterations until logic becomes optimal for deployment to production? I've got thoughts, but I want to hear, Jared, what are your thoughts on how you should be managing capacities at that dev space?
The kind of off of the space of FWAM, whatever, and ownership, it really comes back to taking time. And admittedly, this is something that I think a lot of organizations struggle with, is being willing to take some time to actively focus on that as a priority. A lot of times that's where, you're doing migrations into something like Fabric, or you're doing some sort of implementation, and once the time ticks and we say we've hit when we said we're going to go live with it, at that point, that's when people are like, oh, maybe I should start thinking about cost analysis. Maybe I should start thinking about assessing this in terms of performance. And what usually happens at that point? Falls to the wayside. You're lucky if it happens, and it probably doesn't become a problem until the next time that it causes a problem. The problem isn't necessarily with the tech, it's about your game plan for it. That's something that you need to make that a priority, especially something that you should think about upfront and monitor throughout the development life cycle itself. It's something that's going to take more time than just building content, but it will give you that additional oversight if you're watching while you're building things. And then that sets you up that by the time you finished it, you know what to expect. So you need that visibility. Part of that is the right tooling. Part of that is you need to prioritize taking the time and saying, yes, we're going to make sure that this workload is optimized. It's not just implemented.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you're going to have to monitor to do that, right?
Well, I think it's more than monitoring. I think it is a strategy for like deployment and development. So I'll say my preferred strategy is, if you're going to have an F64 that's running in production, you shouldn't have more than an F8 in a lower environment, so that you can ensure that anything you're developing can run and function at that lower capacity, unless you're testing out the full, like, if you're testing the full boat, then you have to scale up to F64 to ensure it runs and performs. But if you're adding in a table, or if you're adding in a dimension or a fact or a transformation or whatever it is, it needs to be able to be performant at that significantly lower capacity. So otherwise, you're just going to be blowing up your production deployment. And that's one of the things where I know people like, Adrian was saying, hey, we can use the trial capacities for our lower environments. I don't like that, because the trial capacities, isn't that
Oh,
a
no.
256?
No, it's
Chris,
it's a F64.
It's
I
a
will admit-
64 with limits.
Yeah.
I put that in the chat as an option earlier on when his initial question, and he was
Okay.
saying that actually trials are only good for POCs, which I do agree with.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I will own that one. I'll let Adrian.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, to me, it depends. I mean, we used it for quite a while to do our development, right? But you still, to kind of Jared's point, we had to just kind of look at everything, because luckily we were saving cost, right, and everything, which was great for the budget, but you didn't want to depend on it because our trials all of a sudden did go away, right?
Yeah.
And then we had to come up with a strategy for that. And then part of our strategy was also what phase of the build out were we in? So we were in the beginning phase of our build out. We had 6 developers maybe all at the same time. So our dev capacity was actually bigger than what our target production capacity was, just to support all of those people writing notebooks at the same time, doing work at the same time, and everything like that. But then we had, again, I think kind of Jared's point is, you're monitoring that, you're watching what's going on to make sure that you're not going to exceed what's going to go on into production, and you're making good choices ahead of time. Prefer lake houses over Dataflow Gen 2s, right? And if a Dataflow Gen 2 has to be introduced, do some better monitoring in the lower environment. Now that we're in more of a steady state, we got less developers, our production's higher than our test, right? So we had differences at different timings, but we set up multiple capacities kind of to the point early on to have a strategy so that we could move them around, right? Or up and down, and know how to do that. And especially if you're lucky enough that you could just get into the Azure portal and do it yourself, right? Rather than having to go through a whole ticket system to do it. But
and that is where I actually do recommend creating an AD group for your domain-based owners, where you set that domain owner admin group as contributors on the capacities that are their capacities, so that they can scale them up or down. But they have to know that they're the ones who are responsible for the costs of these things, and it's not just something that they can do for free, right? Because maybe they work in finance, and they've been working towards a big code push, and going to that F256 is an acceptable expense for them, because that companies spend lots and lots of money on data projects, right? Maybe that's perfectly fine, and they're going to fund it, and they're going to do it. But they've got to know that. And again, that goes back to contracting, so that these admins and owners know what they're responsible for when it comes to that consumption.
And I think at least one thing, and I want to call this out because I saw a really good video on this a couple of weeks ago. I think make sure that when you're thinking about this, make a distinction between areas of your Fabric implementation where the usage is going to be a little bit more stable versus areas where you're expecting more variance, because the thing we always have to keep in mind is the reserved capacities and the cost savings there. I'll share if you want to share this in chat. Tales from the Field had a really good video on if you want to play that game of scaling up and down capacities, you want to make sure you actually take the time to do the math on whether it's beneficial. Because they on Tales from the Field, Bradley Ball gives a really good scenario that he ran into where an organization was playing that game of they had peak times where there's a lot of processing or a lot of user engagement, times where there wasn't as much going on, and they were scaling up and down anywhere from F32s up to F256 for their capacities. And what they ended up finding was they did the math and the usage on it, and actually found that despite all of the variance in usage, they actually could lock them in on, I forget if it was an F64 or 128 at a reserve capacity. It still supported all the workloads according to their service level agreements, but they were saving costs significantly because they reserved the capacity. So make sure you take the time to do the math on that, because you don't want to necessarily spend a whole lot of extra time playing the scaling game and then only finding that, all right, maybe you're getting the performance you want, but you're taking more time to do it and you're spending more in the process.
I completely agree. And Adrian, you're calling out some big hits here. One of the things I think that made Power BI such a success is that people were able to download it, install
Mhm.
it, and do crazy, horrible things on their own laptop and not have to worry about like I could run the worst Power Query merge statement that like bricked my laptop, and Jared, Christina, and Kevin would be just fine. I'd be the only one that would have to be concerned about it. In Fabric and in these modern tools, there is no desktop equivalent, right? Like, and I think this goes back a while, right? Like, think about what's the desktop equivalent for Snowflake? No, that's not a thing. What's the desktop equivalent for Databricks? Well, that's not really a thing either. Or Netezza or Teradata. Like, there's just no desktop equivalent. So my point here is that we have to be very mindful anytime that we're working inside a shared environment. And that's an education that we have to bring to our business users who are coming from Power BI, starting to dabble in Fabric. And we have to not only educate them, but do things to isolate them so that they're not impacting like production workloads, production processes. And this is where Fabric at scale becomes more and more important, right?
Yeah.
And yes, I did just see a pay-as-you-go announcement. I think that's going to be another big thing, but I, like, um, uh, Stream, you are failing me.
Yeah, that worked really well.
Yeah.
Whatever that feature is you don't want to use, maybe you want to use it.
Yeah, I gotta start using that.
Somebody
Did
fall off
you know?
something?
Did you know you missed your gum spot?
What's that?
He had it early. He had it early.
I thought
Well,
they bought two. So
you know, I think the problem is I have not had my Nero gum yet. Nero gum, which is an important part of every day. When you get up, you're feeling a little drained, grab yourself a couple pieces of Nero gum. That caffeine, B vitamin, L-theanine,
however you say that.
Yes, however you say it, will give you that clean, pure energy to get you up and going, and make sure that you've got the proper energy necessary to deliver a plug for Nero Gum.
Come
Nero
to-
Gum,
Say all the big words on the label.
yes,
Come to Kratos Con, and if you could in a live session say all the ingredients without stumbling, you will get a free piece.
yeah. Well,
Piece. One
and
piece.
as always, use
It's not a
Crafts
big
BI at
reward,
checkout
Christina.
for
It's not a
0%
big
off.
reward.
Wow.
Oh, good stuff. Where was I going to say here? Yes, Andy's actually bringing out a great
Yeah.
point here about reserve capacities and like or that the advantage that like an F-64 with reserve, you can go a long way with that, right? To doing development, to spreading that workloads out, there's just lots of benefits there. So
Yeah.
all right.
And I think it's important to remember that the reserve, you're not reserving a capacity. You're reserving a number of CUs that you could divide up against
Mhm.
multiple capacities. So you could reserve the equivalent of an F-64, but stand up 2 or 3 capacities off of that to help even, again, because if you have something that could be unpredictable, that just all of a sudden shuts down your capacity, you could isolate that into a different capacity. As long as you could do the math to make everything fit into what you reserved and how you want to split it up. So,
well, and correct me if I'm wrong. What is the penalty for not using your reservation?
Nothing.
you still end up
just
paying
have to
for
pay.
it. Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah. It doesn't, you don't. Yeah.
Hang on.
Kind of.
So if I reserve 100 CUs, I
Mhm.
get a reservation out there, and then I only use 98 CUs, I pay for 100?
Yep.
Are you sure?
Yes.
100%.
I don't think that's right.
I've seen people who didn't realize they had to go in and assign the reservation to their capacity get charged twice.
Oh, really?
So you
What?
have to
No, you're not supposed. You just.
well you have to make the reservation.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like you're basically buying the coupon code and then you
Right.
make the capacities. So I guess how did they do it? They did it in a weird way. It must have been in two different um
If you put it in different
resource
regions,
groups. Yeah, or
Oh,
regions.
yeah.
That's
it'd
what
have
it
to be
was. Yeah.
regions, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So if
Yep.
you
Yep.
put the capacity in one region, but you put your reservation in a different region, then yeah, it won't get applied.
All
Mhm.
right.
But yeah, once you produce the reservation and you produce capacities in that same region, it will just automatically put it against the reservation first until you use them all up. But if you don't use them all up, you still pay for what you reserved, even though you didn't put enough capacities on it yet.
Yeah.
And Andrew's totally
There's
right.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's some grace in there, but you have to then be much more actively managing
Mhm.
that. And
Mhm.
I guess I'm contemplating a larger company who has someone who's dedicated to managing their Azure spend, and that's definitely not everyone there. So
Yeah, I actually
yeah,
talked to it with a lot of smaller companies, right? Because then they get a big benefit, even if they're using just a couple capacities. So
yeah, yep. Awesome. Okay, so we're starting to span out. I think one of the biggest things when we talk about scale and workloads that we're going to start to bring in, uh, this is a big deal for a lot of us on this call, is that ability to have where's your Azure SQL going to run? I mean, look at your company and how many Azure SQL databases you have for all these different apps, all these different programs, and I mean, I was shocked when I was at Rockwell to find out there was something like 1,800 SQL servers that people were running
Mhm.
across the organization, right? 1,800, right? Now, you probably don't need 1,800 capacities unless you're just doing F2s, but either way, okay, that's a large footprint that you're not just going to move 1,800 SQL servers into that one central F64.
No.
Then we start to get into like a hybrid of workload and domain based capacities that teams are going to be now become responsible for working and managing, right? So okay, if you've got 100 SQL databases that you're up and running, do you have an F256? Do you have two 128s? How are you breaking this up? How are you establishing isolation? How are you getting it so that those mission critical servers just never go down? What are you doing there, right? I think there's some challenges there, like in the capacity model, but hopefully they'll sort that stuff out. Uh,
I think some of it too, like we talked about, I think in a previous live stream, where there's a way to have workspaces that are flagged as mission critical.
mhm,
Um,
mhm.
so there's some aspects of capacities where you don't need to split into multiple capacities. If you've got a good workspace strategy around like, hey, this is mission critical. This goes down, we stop making money. Like we need to block that in. That has to take priority. Yeah, workspace search. There's lots of good options right now to protect you. The biggest thing that I can think of is to remember that if you run into a problem, it is not very hard to reassign a workspace to a new capacity.
Yep.
It is not very hard as long as you have the right IT contacts or the right access to create a new capacity. So don't let these concerns scare you away from never trying, right? Like if this is part of your architecture, understand that you can do this without losing weeks of work. Like there's
Yeah.
going to be ways where you can quickly correct.
Well, and I also think it makes sense to plan for this.
Yes,
Plan for when you're going to need to
have the run book.
have a run book, have policies in place that allow you or someone in your organization to be able to spin up that additional capacity, to extend it. Work with IT ahead of time to make sure that they've got the necessary like knowledge and understanding of how these capacities work. Because if you think about the evolution of the cloud, we started off as all VMs, right? And so IT got really good at spinning up VMs, right? Well, then they got very good at spinning up like PaaS, like platform offerings, right? And now they're starting to get good at spinning up the services, right? So that they've been kind of going through that evolution. Well, Fabric, I know they say, oh, it's a PaaS or SaaS. I don't remember what
SaaS, yeah.
SaaS. They're categorizing it on the furthest layer. But this is really starting to cannibalize all of these other layers into this one space, but it has some of the concepts from those previous spaces to be able to ensure you've got enough performance and compute to be able to run and do these things. Because it's still, at the end of the day, servers that are running these things, right? Like Fabric's not magic. It's still a server that someone's managing and doing something on, and you might need more of them. And so make sure IT is aware of it, make sure that they are introduced to it and understand the components of it, and why on occasion you're going to need to have new capacities spun up and what they're going to be used for. They should be happy because we're working in GovCloud right now, and I'm on that's old world. Like we spun up the capacities and things that we need there, and I'm like, oh my god, I forgot it's 40 things in Azure I need in order to build out a data platform and data program, and I forgot how many it was. Because with Fabric, it's like, okay, give me a Fabric capacity, give me a service principal, and I'm out, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's so much easier now. Right. But we got to get people and we got to get IT on board with that as we start to get into that strategy. Right.
Well, I think that was a really good analogy, because as you think through, right, it seems like strong, well, let's go to weak IT teams, but they start. I think your analogy was really pretty good, right? Even if you'd say they started off on prem, they were good at even just bringing up hardware and stuff like that. Then moving to the cloud, the first evolution of the cloud was the VMs, and then PaaS, and now the SaaS. And I don't know that all of the IT teams have caught up to what it is to mean to SaaS and to put a capacity or to do the reserve, and they're somewhat hesitant about it. So it was a really good analogy, because I've been running into that lately, that an IT team is having some issues with some things. So, but your original question was kind of talking about getting all the SQL servers, and then go right, because you have 1800 and you make some strategy to say which are the right ones to roll into Fabric, right? And when, and then build your capacities out from there. So you have to be good at making up the capacities. But I think that first part of the plan is which are the right ones, those rights of the 1800 SQL servers to move there. Because I don't know that I'm convinced to just say I'm going to move all my SQL servers into Fabric yet.
Move them all.
Yeah, just move them, right? Yeah, just there you go.
It's fine. Just move them
yeah,
all.
Yeah,
Move
the whole kind of serverless
Mhm.
technology versus having dedicated.
I don't see
I'm
anything
gonna
wrong with that.
wait.
Move them all to Fabric.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. These are not the SQL servers you're looking for.
All right.
They're
So
not
this
SQL
has been a
servers,
good
are ours.
conversation about the challenges and the things that we should be thinking about as we line up. But what can people do today to start prepare and to start adjusting and kind of trimming their sails so that they're off base today, but they suddenly come in alignment as this scale is about to occur, as for that day when they get suddenly asked that, okay, we need to go from 2 to 10 to 100 capacities so that they're in the right place to be able to take advantage of this. What are some of your recommendations there?
My biggest one is monitoring.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan. You need to be setting that up right away, and you need somebody to at least look at it in the morning, right? In the
Yep.
afternoon, in the evening. Pick a time, pick many times, but somebody needs to be responsible for looking at it, because otherwise no one will, and you're just going to get a ton of emails all at once.
Yep.
Hey, my report doesn't load anymore. Hey, I have a meeting with the CEO in 10 minutes and I can't get the screenshots I need for my PowerPoint, whatever, like,
Right.
Yeah,
you don't want that
needs to be
email.
habit. And I think really monitoring with intention. It's not just about, oh, I'm going to install Flume. I'm going to take 30 seconds and look at it, and nothing is coming up as a concern. Therefore, okay, problem solved. You have to be willing to take the time to say, all right, this is at least what I'm seeing for numbers. Can I prove this? Is there a different way that I should be looking at that? Like, there's the same thing that we talk about of analytics. It's questions based on questions based on questions based on questions. Take that same mindset for monitoring. Get curious about it. The more curious you are, the more you'll be willing to take a little bit of extra time regularly to dig into it and to understand it. So when that time comes and you need to be prepared to go and give a recommendation on a game plan for it, you're not walking in blind. You're at least walking in with proven mindset that you've taken the time to hone.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, if I were going to start saying, and Christina, you kind of alluded to this earlier, I think if there was one thing you could do right now to start getting yourself ready for this, is reevaluating your workspace strategy to make sure that you are aligned with these types of concepts in the future. What does that mean? Number one, it means making sure that your workspaces are broken out by the type of workload that's running on it. Is it data engineering? Is it analytics? Is it data science? Number two, make sure your workspaces are broken out by the domain that they are. Is it IT? Is it finance? Is it sales? Is it HR? Make sure that you've got that all cleared out. Number three, make sure you establish what your ownership model looks like. In other words, if you're a domain owner, they need to be aware that, and you need to start talking about that they're responsible for all the processes and costs associated with running content inside of their domain. And number four, make sure that you start to establish what is the contract going to be for people who are building things and moving them into a production environment, so that they understand what best practices are. They understand that you don't use DAX columns because it costs 16 times the expense, 16 to 32x the cost of running in a lower environment, right? Like, they understand that they cannot move that content out into your production workspace so that they're not incurring those costs, right? Like, set those items up. And then I think the last thing, number 6, is exactly what Christina said, which is establish who is going to be reviewing your FWAM. Make sure you have that set up, but then also make sure you start to extend FWAM to put triggers and alerts on the metrics that are most important to you, and develop a pattern for extending those triggers and alerts as new things come up. So when real-time streaming suddenly starts to become a big deal in your company, and you see your RTI consumption go above 20% of your capacity, you reach out to that domain owner about scaling up, or like, do you really need real-time streaming? Like, congratulations, you have real-time streaming from your Excel document. Like, I'm really impressed that you got that set up. This is costing about $4,000 a month to monitor. Looks like you touch it, around month end, and
And that's it. Yeah.
and that's it. Is 4,000 an appropriate? Oh, it is. Great. So here is your invoice for that additional
Yep.
capacity for that component, right?
I would
Yeah.
say too, it's also kind of, you can make it fun. Like I remember when I was a Power BI admin, I owned a tenant back in the day, and it was awesome because I had a report that would tell me who my most active users were. I could figure out who had like the fastest refreshes, who had gotten their refreshes down over time, and I would send out a little like newsletter every month and just say like, hey, here's our top performers, here's who's awesome. You don't put who's terrible in those. You send private messages to those people, but it kind of fosters a sense of community. It fosters a sense of responsibility in my experience.
Oh my gosh, I'm just envisioning like a wanted wall. With
Let's just say there's a page that's all red, basically.
Yeah. With like pictures of Jared on it behind bar.
Oh, is this the way this is going to be now? Okay, I see what's going on here. I'm not saying it's not warranted, to be clear.
Let's send out new pictures that everybody puts in their background of that. So.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
gosh.
We should
I'll work on my mugshot for you.
Beautiful, right there. But I think I know we're just about at time, but I think kind of listening to a lot of what we all said here today, right? The words that came up a whole lot, and it's just always the same, right? Have a strategy, plan for that strategy, and then monitor to that strategy, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it really, none of that has really ever changed, and if you just continue to do that, you can control your cost and have. Well, I guess the other thing that it's very important to don't leave out is communicate that strategy. How many times do you get to go? People go, well, I didn't know that was part of our strategy. So,
and actually, that's an excellent point. Not only do you have to communicate it, but you have to communicate it over and over and over again. You're not leading if you establish something and you vaguely reference it one time in a meeting where, like, there's 40 people on Teams and there are 3 on camera, and like you mentioned it, so now 40 people know intimately that one offhand comment that you made about that document that you posted to SharePoint that outlines and references some content that you've put into Loop somewhere. Like, that's not leading. That is that's the start of leading. You have to continue to emphasize it. And that's why if you come up with a strategy, it has to be something that's simple enough that you can clearly articulate over and over and over again, that other people can consume and understand, and they can start to ingest that and feel that.
And it needs to live and evolve.
Yes. Yeah. 100%. Right. All right. Well, this has been a great conversation. Thank you guys all for being part of the conversation. Thank you, Jared, for being the blunt of all of our jokes today. But you only get to take down a fabric capacity so many times before, like,
it's fun.
We look, like my fabric admin and I, we're good. We're good.
Awesome. Well, Christina, Kevin, Jared, thank you very much. Hey, you watching at home, I'll be honest, you're the reason we do this. So thank you very much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. Look forward to, like, the next couple of weeks are going to become a little crazy. Like, Christina's not going to be here. Like, the week of FabCon, I'm presenting during this live stream. I don't know if they're going to let me actually do Fabric Fridays live from FabCon. We'll see. I'm not sure if that's a thing. I might try to do it regardless of what they say. We'll see. But we'll have lots of stuff.
Chat.
What's that?
Non-existent FabCon HR has joined the chat.
Right. Oh, and there goes Kevin.
Oops.
He just like noped right out. Oh
no.
He's just like, I'm out of here, baby. Oh no, here he comes. He's coming back. But
I don't know what happened. But I guess that was the end.
Well, we will see you guys later. Have the best day ever. Peace.
Peace.
Baker Tilly Digital combines strategic industry insight and advanced technical expertise to uncover and solve your digital transformation challenges. If you're interested in learning more, check out our website at bakertilly.com/digital.